Alright, here's another lacrosse video from Coach Ted. This one is mostly for the parents. Thought I would just give you guys some basic lacrosse 101. So first of all, each team has 10 players on the field. We have a goalie. We have 3 defensemen. We have 3 middies. And we have 3 attackmen. Of course, the other team also has the same players, but I don't care about them, so I'm just going to draw them all as circles. Okay, and this is how we line up at the beginning of a game. The very first part of a game is called the Faceoff. The referee will place the ball in the middle of the field between the 2 middies in the center of the field, and blow the whistle. When he blows the whistle, those 2 middies will fight for the ball, and as they're doing that, these guys will run in and also try to pick up that ball. At the very beginning, right after the face-off, these 6 players are the only ones who are allowed to go for the ball. These are 3 attackmen and their 3 defenders, and our 3 defenders and their 3 attackmen, plus the 2 goalies, have to stay inside the box. Now you'll want to watch my other video on the names of field positions if you're not quite sure what I mean by the box, but that's just this area around the goal. So I think I said each team has 10 players on the field. Our defensemen, their primary job is to play defense, to protect our goal and to stop the other team from scoring. Our attackmen, their primary job is to try to score goals. They're going to be on our offensive side of the field. And the middies do both. They run back and forth, and they will play on defense when the ball's on this side of the field, and they will play on offense when the ball's on this side of the field. They go everywhere. As I was saying, during the face-off, only the midfielders are allowed to try to get that first ground ball. Once the ground ball is picked up and in somebody's sticks, the ref will call release, and at that point, all of these guys are allowed to come out of the box and do whatever they want. So I say whatever they want, but let's pretend that our team gets the face-off, we win the ground ball, then we're going to move into our basic offense. When we're on offense, our attackmen are going to be lined up over here. Our midfielders will be lined up here, and basically, those 6 players will be playing offense, passing the ball around, trying to score goals. Of course, they will have their 6 defenders over here trying to stop us. And the other players, our defenders and their attackmen, are not allowed to cross the line. So our 3 defensemen will pretty much just stay wherever their attack are. Most teams will bring their attackmen up to the midfield line. They are not allowed to cross. If you have more than 6 players on your offensive side of the field, that's offsides. If you have more than 6 players plus the goalie makes 7 on your defensive side of the field, that would also be offsides. So their 3 attackmen will probably come up to the midfield line, and our 3 defenders will stand near the 3 attackmen, continuing to play defense, but they're not allowed to cross the line. Later, if we lose the ball and the other team gets the ball, our 3 defenders will run back to play defense, and their 3 attackmen will run back to try to score, and they will set up in their offense. So they'll have their offensive players, and our defenders will be back here playing defense, and our middies and their middies will come and come over here. So these middies do a lot of running. They run back and forth all across the field. Meanwhile, our attackmen and their defenders will come up to the midfield line and watch. So the attackmen and defenders have long periods of time where they get to stand and watch, where they're not running much. The midfielders do a lot more running. They're running back and forth across the field, and for that reason, we tend to do lots of substitutions for the midfielders. We'll keep the midfielders out there for 3, 4, 5 minutes at a time, and then switch in a new group of 3 middies. So a lot of times on the sideline, you'll hear the coaches yelling, "Middies, middies, middies!" And what that means is we want the middies who are on the field to run off the field, and we'll give a new batch of 3 middies coming on. Like I said, we do that every 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. We switch new middies in and out, whereas the attackmen and defenders will stay in the game for much longer, since they get to rest at various times in the game. We will often, on a team, only have 4 or 5 attackmen or 4 or 5 defenders, and we'll switch them out one at a time. So sometimes an attackman could spend an entire quarter sitting on the bench, and then he'll switch in for another attackman, and then that guy might spend a quarter sitting on the bench. But the middies will probably get to play every quarter, but they'll only play for 3 or 4 minutes, and then they'll come out and sit down for 5 or 6 minutes, and they'll come back in and play for 3 or 4 minutes. And so we do a lot of switching on the midfield. Okay, so you guys know about offsides. The attackmen are not allowed to cross over. You're not allowed to have more than your 7 people, 3 defenders, 3 middies, and the goalie on defense. And you're not allowed to have more than 6 people, your 3 attackmen and your 3 middies on offense. Last thing I just wanted to talk a little bit about are penalties. So if you step off sides, I guess there are 2 kinds of penalties that I want you guys to be aware of. The first are sort of minor penalties, and when there's just a minor penalty, the only result of that penalty is that the other team gets the ball. So this includes things like stepping out of bounds when you have the ball. If you do that, you lose the ball, the other team gets the ball. Going off sides. If you do that, you lose the ball, the other team gets the ball. Then there are some, the more major penalties, and the most common of those are what's called a slash. So a slash is when a player swings his stick like a baseball bat and hits another player. So an uncontrolled swinging of the stick would be considered a slash. And now that's sort of a judgment call by the referee. At the college level, the rule is you have to be under control, meaning you're allowed to slap the other player with your stick, but you should be able to stop your stick at any moment. So if you're swinging so hard that you couldn't stop your stick, then that would be considered a slash. At this level, it's just basically any time the stick is swung what looks like out of control or a little bit too hard, they can call a slash. Or if the stick ever hits the opponent's helmet, that's immediately considered a slash. So a slash is a major penalty, and that involves the player being removed from the game for a period of time. And when that happens, the other team will have an extra player. So we would be, if our team committed a slash, we would be man down. We would only have 5 players on defense, and they would have 6 players on offense. And that continues until the time runs out, or until the offensive team scores a goal. When the team scores, the penalty is automatically cleared. Another penalty would be a push in the back. You're not allowed to push a player from behind. You are allowed to push them, from the front or from the side. Again, at the college level, you can run full force and completely knock somebody over as long as you hit them from the front or from the side. But at our level, in the Lightning level, you have to be under control. Basically, you can push somebody, but you can't collide with them. I believe the official rule is 3 steps. If you take more than 3 steps sort of running at somebody when you hit them, then that would be considered unnecessary roughness, and that would be a major penalty, which would be a man-down situation. But from what I can tell, the way the refs call it is that basically if you knock somebody down, if you knock them off their feet with a collision, that's almost always going to be called a penalty. I don't think it really always should be called a penalty, because you could take one step and hit somebody and that should be legal. But if they fall down when you do it, they usually call a penalty. Another penalty would be tripping. You're not allowed to trip players, and if you do that when they have the ball, that'll also be a man down situation, a penalty. And then I guess the other minor penalty is what we call a loose ball push. If you knock somebody down in the process of going after a loose ball, that's not a man down. They don't pull you out of the game. They just give the other team the ball. There are lots of other minor rules and little things that can cause a turnover, giving the other team the ball, or can cause a penalty where you have to go sit out for a time. But I think those are the biggest, most common calls. Slash, push in the back, tripping would be the ones that result in a man down situation, or a loose ball push, or going off sides or going out of bounds would be situations where you give the other team the ball. I hope that helps you guys understand a little bit about what's going on. I encourage you to watch my other videos as well and learn a little bit about our strategy on offense and defense, and hope you enjoy the game.